Shaktihi. Okay, so last time we saw what is avatar, right? So that's where, in order to understand avatara, you also need to then understand Ishvara a little bit, right? We'll see it a lot more in detail later, but you do need to understand a little bit of what is Ishvara, which is the intelligence, right? So now that intelligence brings about what all the different bodies, because of what the karma that we have, right? So there is a karana sharira which has karma, and because of that different bodies come about. Okay, so avatara is one entity which has not come about because of those karmas. Otherwise it would be just a jiva. Jiva is an individual. Okay, it has come about, that intelligence produces a form without a specific karma. Why? Just to accomplish a given task. Okay, and when the task is over, the person, that entity goes away. Okay,
is
so
it an entity or is it definitely a person?
it's an entity, because there are this Vishnu Purana where they have Narsimha, half man, half. Then you have this Vamana, that little boy, and then Varaha. So you have one, it was fish. So so their avatara need not be, that's a good question, it need not be a human being. It can come in any given form, but it comes to accomplish a given thing and then it goes. Okay, so that that is an avatara. So now you may think that all the time people ask, in when people are exposed to that, when is avatara coming, right? As though it is. So you need to ask yourself, do you really need avatara to get things done in this? I mean, most of the time the things are done through people itself, right? People themselves become instruments to what? You had Gandhi to bring what? The whole, he not only brought independence to India, the whole thing of colonization came to an end after Second World War. It's a different era altogether. Okay. Then you had somebody, Martin Luther King, and what? End of slavery. So that means you have people, you don't need avatars. Take out this whole idea that for every small thing you need an avatar to come and fix things. Lot of these adjustments are taking place through individuals themselves. Okay, so even this French Revolution, which also ended that whole monarchy. So there are always times in history, and it doesn't only happen in India. Please don't think like that. All over the world you have people who made a difference. In science, Einstein changed the very face of science. His discoveries. Okay, so in every discipline you have people who just take the whole, not only their own knowledge, but everybody else, the whole humanity to another level altogether. Okay, so these are what we call very exceptional people. You can't just, I mean, they are very exceptional people because they do make such a huge difference. Okay, now, even in terms of passing on this knowledge, okay, it's not that you need avatar only when Krishna teaches you, you understand this knowledge. There is this whole teaching parampara which can give you, if the teacher has understood properly what the Upanishads are talking about, what Bhagavad Gita is talking about. You don't need Krishna to come and stand in front of you and tell you, teach you Gita. Even through that person, a total job is possible. Okay, so that means most of the time there are mechanisms where individuals themselves accomplish things. So please don't keep thinking and waiting for an avatara to come to fix things.
But are you saying assume that Mahatma Gandhi or an Einstein are avatars?
They are not avatars. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Just normal. I said the system is such that any normal human, the fixing doesn't always need avatars. What I'm trying to say is normal jivas themselves can do, they are evolved and they are enough to bring about those very major shifts. We are not talking about just some small adjustments, major shifts. Right? So therefore, and even in terms of knowledge, you don't need avatar. That's what I'm saying, right? Individuals can do that job. So now, what is that means that you should not, that whole thing of, whenever it comes to relating to Ishvara, we always get into this thing that there is an entity which is so much bigger and so much more powerful than us, which is true. From one standpoint, it is absolutely true. Right? You and me haven't made the sun and the moon, and the intelligence is the one which has manifested the sun and the moon and all the bodies and all the interactions. So on one hand, it is true. Okay? But essentially, what is Vedanta saying? What is the real vision of Vedanta? To keep that difference a difference?
No.
No. Right? So it is showing you there is a whole big equation in Chandogya Upanishad, which is what we are going to do in Shilim. Okay? Tat Tvam Asi. That is really the vision of Vedanta. That Tat, which is Ishvara, and you, the little individual, it seems like there is no comparison. There is no comparison. You're so small and insignificant. And if you think you're this individual, how much place you occupy in this universe? You may think you're very smart, but how much place do you occupy in this universe? A map of the universe, what is your position in it? It's even Earth is a dot.
Yeah.
So your position is even a very, very small dot, right? What is the time within which you exist? A dot, right? Because in a countless flow of time, if you start with just the Big Bang, right, and your existence of 100 years, which everybody thinks is a very full life, okay, itself is a dot. Okay, and any knowledge that you have itself is what? You go to a library, go to Harvard Library, and you will see what is knowledge. Vastness of the knowledge, and how much of it you know. Forget Harvard. You will know very well how much you know. You'll be humble. Right? So that means with this identity that you feel you are, there is no comparison with what Ishvara and you. So how do you then understand this equation that you are that? You need to shift. You don't need an avatar for that. You need to shift your vision of who you are. You need to shift your understanding of who you are. Because the way you understand yourself, there is no way. Right? So you need to undergo that shift. So the whole teaching and the teacher is what? Enabling you to make that shift. So therefore, and once that shift has taken place, what is the difference between that wise person and Ishvara? There is no difference. Exactly. And that's what Lord Krishna says in the next verse. Otherwise, the minute you talk about Avatara, Ishvara, you always feel what? You are so small and Ishvara is so big, right? So in the next verse, that whole orientation is what? Ultimately, disband. Exactly. Right? So therefore...
But it is so big. If Ishvara seems so overwhelming, then also the knowledge will be unreachable for you.
Absolutely.
Right? So then
Absolutely. So that means that you need to understand, imagine you have an equation right? 3 plus 2 is equal to 6. Everybody is out there, so they are outcast. They are all like out there. So why they are also sitting so far? Okay, please move, because I don't talk to just in the air, I talk to people.
What was that story in the battlefield when he says you go into Markandeya, goes into his stomach and doesn't recognize him?
So anyway, that's
Can we
not the
digress
point.
for a minute?
No, thank you. Not now, right? So just please understand that when you have an equation, okay, the two sides necessarily, if I say 5 is equal to 5, is it an equation? No. Why?
So both sides are equal. There's no difference in the way.
Excellent.
There's no difference
As
in the expression.
Saloni says, in order for it to be an equation, the two sides have to look different.
They have to have variables.
They have to have variables. These are all basic logic. Please understand, right? So that means if apparently you and Ishvara are same, there is no equation. 5 is equal to 5. It's like 5 is equal to 5. But apparently there has to be a difference. But it has to resolve. Okay? So that means if 5 is equal to 5 is not an equation, but 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1 is an equation or not?
Yeah.
It's an equation. Why? Because the two sides look very different, but they have a point of resolution. What is the point of resolution? Number 5. At 5, there is what? Resolution. You have solved the equation. Okay? Now, if you try to solve equation at a wrong point, you will be in a disastrous position. If you try to solve this equation at a wrong point, for example, you say 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1, therefore 3 is equal to 6, plus is equal to minus, and 2 is equal to 1. Where will you go with this equation? You will create a huge confusion. You will create a huge confusion. So imagine you don't solve this equation of Tattvamasi at the right place. What will happen? You will start thinking I'm Ishvara, and you will be what? Somebody will put you in mental hospital. Right? So you have to resolve it at the right point. Okay? So now that little you who is occupying that little space, you have to what? Undergo a change of what is that I. You need to redefine that I. So what we have seen in the first portion of the Gita, what is Atma?
5 elements. Atma is Brahman.
Excellent, right? So Atma, as Saloni said, is what? There is everything, the whole universe is nothing but objects, including what? Your body and your mind. They are all objects. Okay? Now, of course, among all the different objects, you have a special relationship with one given body and mind. It's perfect. But that object essentially does not become subject. The problem is for you, what is an object has become subject. That is the only problem. Right? So that means all the objects are there. Now there is this light, okay, which is light of awareness, without which no object can be known. Neither the outside world nor what? Your body and conditions of your mind. What happens is we only focus on the objects. We forget what? The presence of that light of awareness, which enables you to see all the objects. It is like, imagine there is a table here, okay, and there is light which enables me to see the table. But I forget the light, I only focus on the table. This is how we are. we see objects, there is one light of awareness which enables us to see all the objects which are outside, and also my mind, which is what I observe, right? That one thought comes, another thought comes, every thought comes and goes, and I am who? Exactly, the observer who actually sees different conditions of the mind. And not only different bodies, but conditions of my own body. Okay, so there is this awareness which is missed out by everyone. So this is what Shastra tells me, that this is who you are. That is something. Now what is observed is awareness colored by what is observed. Like the light throws light on one table which is dusty table, the other table which is clean table, the third table which has lots of objects on it. Does the light get affected by that? No, light never gets affected. Please understand. What do you have to clean? Table you have to clean, sure, but not what? If the light you need to clean? No, it never gets affected by whatever it throws light on. Okay, so your Atma is that awareness, as Saloni is saying. Okay, that awareness which doesn't get involved with anything, it lights up everything. This is Atma. So that means your Tvam has to move from your identity, which is what? This little individual, micro, to this awareness. Right? Now, let's look at the other side of the equation, which is what? Tat. What is this Tat? Tat is Ishvara. We saw the all intelligence. All intelligence which makes the sun what it is, the moon what it is, it makes the earth what it is, galaxies what they are, every being what they are. Okay? And not only that intelligence which makes every entity what it is, but also governs the interaction between exactly two entities in form of laws. Right? So therefore this is something which is, if you understand that it is objects as well as laws which govern the interaction between objects, where is Ishvara?
Within
everything. Where there is body, that now you have billions of cells in your body. They are what? Coordinating right now for you to be able to see, then your digestive system to digest the food that you have eaten for breakfast, then your circulatory system, your heart is beating, everything is happening. Okay, are you putting it all together? You are not. You don't even know how many different parts are in your body. If I ask you to start naming the parts of your body, you will be surprised. And ask a doctor, and then you'll see how much you don't even know about the existence of the part of your body, let alone what governing them to run it the way you want it. So that means there is that intelligence who's doing that job for you. So please don't think about intelligence as something out there. Ishvara is not somebody out there. It's in and through everything.
Tvam is translated.
Tvam is you. And you, there is one thing which is your meaning of you, which is what? And then what is that point of resolution where it everything, that is what? Atma, that awareness which is all pervasive. Okay, so now that is what we call the meaning of Ishvara, which is the other side of the equation. Ishvara, the all intelligence. Okay, now where is the equation? Because when you inquired about your nature, what did you come to? This awareness, Brahman, because of which, that is only one light of awareness, because of which what? You see every object. Now you need to ask the question, what is the relationship between awareness and that all intelligence? You need to ask that question. An equation, you need to solve the equation, right? How will you solve this equation?
Sorry, I was taking notes.
You understand that one like a micro unit that is encompassed by this huge intelligence.
Exactly.
That is,
And then what is the relationship between that all-pervading intelligence and your nature, which is what? Awareness. Right? When I did the inquiry, I just showed you, right, that you think you are this body and mind, but who are you? This awareness, because of which you see everything. Okay? So that means this side of equation, 3 plus 2, you have come to 5. Yes, by moving from what? Your little entity to awareness, which is all pervasive. Yes or not? Yes. Mathematics is, I'm not doing anything, you just see with logic, apply your logic.
then that is
The
equal to
tat,
one.
which is wonderful, but 1 minute, it's true, but you need to. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, is it part? Who is part of what?
The little each of them
Yeah.
are all a part of one big whole. So the whole is, it's
Okay, that is at this level, Shikha. What you're trying to do is correct, but it is, then you're keeping your eye as what? One little individual.
again.
You see what you're doing? Because then you are saying intelligence is all bodies, all minds, sun, moon, everything. Then you become what? One part of that whole thing. But you're solving the equation at a different level.
Then it comes imbalance.
Then it becomes imbalance. You have to solve, that's what I'm saying, it's an equation where you need to be very intelligent to solve it at the right point. If you make a mistake, there is no understanding. You think you understand Vedanta, you don't understand Vedanta. Vedanta, you need to be an extremely lucid and logical human, very alert and very sharp in your thinking. Otherwise, you make a mess of Vedanta. So, what Shikha is doing is right, but she's solving it at that level where you still retain yourself as this individual and you see intelligence as not only governing you but everything else, and then you become part of that vast intelligence. But the equation is not that.
If my awareness is not different from your awareness, it's just one.
Yes.
Encompasses everything.
Yes.
Right? And it's very complicated, but if the awareness is
Try.
constant, it just exists.
Yes.
Right? It's
Yes.
not different from
Yes.
Same time, Ishvara is also all pervading.
Wonderful.
It is just there, it exists.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Okay.
Without you or me knowing what it is.
Wonderful.
Now does that equation?
Wonderful. Mitali, go ahead. Perfect. Please go.
Now I'm lost.
And now you're lost. Wonderful. Where she has come is a very, very good Mitali. This is where I want you to begin to think. I want this learning to be not just some passive learning where I'm talking and you're just kind of listening and God knows what you are thinking about and what I'm saying and what you are understanding and who knows what's going on, right? But wonderful. Wonderful, because you've expanded the whole paradigm. Excellent. But you just have to do one last thing, which you are not doing, but otherwise you've done a wonderful job.
If A is all pervading and B is all pervading, but that doesn't necessarily mean A is equal to B, or does it?
Excellent. Very good. Now think. Answer. Can you have wonderful? First of all, what Mitali is saying is very intelligent. What she is saying is, now A, which is awareness, is all pervading. Okay, and then you have Ishvara, the intelligence, also all pervading. Can you have two totally different entities all pervading? No. Wonderful. You can't have two totally different entities all pervading. So therefore, what? They have to be just one. They cannot be two. It has to be only one. But where is the right point of resolution? Tell me now. Very good. Wonderful.
The right point of resolution is to see that they are both all pervading. They are both equal to 5.
No, not exactly. You do need to do one more step, because you, on one hand you have awareness, and on the other hand you have a different thing, which is what? Intelligence. Exactly. It's not exactly the same. You can't equate it like that.
It's not the same, but A is a part of B, but B is still they're both
Okay, very good, Shikha. Go ahead. This is correct. No, it's correct.
I'm only saying. But I'm just
No. No. What she is saying is something very interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
So, A being awareness
Yes.
is what allows you to embrace B.
Excellent. Perfect. She has solved the equation. So now you have to ask. So now Nisha said the logic, which is a very important logic, which is that if two entities are all pervasive, they cannot be two entities all pervasive.
So one entity
Right?
has given rise to have the power to manifest in.
Excellent. Wonderful. So you solved it. Now I will tell you how you solved it. Okay? Wonderful, Shona. Okay. So now, so as Nisha said, that you can't have two entities which are all pervasive. So it all has to resolve in one. But now I'm finding on one side awareness, and on the other side what? Intelligence. They are not synonyms. They are not synonyms, right? Because one, it is what? Intelligence, which creates what? The sun, moon. I don't have that aware, right? So therefore, now you need to ask one more question. What is the relationship between the all intelligence and awareness? And as Tushna and Shona pointed out, right, one requires other to exist, the other one is independent of it. The intelligence, which is all intelligence, can intelligence exist without awareness?
Yes.
No.
Intelligence can exist.
No.
Because you're aware, you realize that.
Yeah. What is more fundamental? Intelligence is more fundamental, or awareness is more fundamental? Awareness is more fundamental.
How is that? Awareness. Because you
Awareness without your little intelligence, right? Can it exist without awareness? No. So if your little intelligence cannot exist without awareness, logically, right, all intelligence, you're just increasing the magnitude, but the relationship remains the same. Just as your intelligence it requires awareness first, then intelligence. Okay, all intelligence requires what first? Awareness first, then all intelligence. Okay, so that means both of them resolve in what? Ishvara. The all intelligence also resolves in what? Awareness. Okay, so that means both resolve in awareness. That is the equation. So now look at this. I'll make it much easier now. Okay, now look at the relationship between wave, ocean and water. Wave, like, what is it equivalent to? We the individuals. Okay, what is the ocean? Ocean is Ishvara, which encompasses what? all the waves of the past, of the present and the future. So if you look at visually, very different. One wave is very different from the ocean. And the first point where Shikha was trying to resolve the equation, what did she do? She made that wave as what? Part of the ocean. Correct. At that level it's correct. But what Vedanta is doing is not at that level. What Vedanta says is, hey, look at really the content, the reality of this wave. What is the real reality of the wave? It's water with that given form. The form doesn't really matter because the content is the most important thing. Okay, so it is water in that given form. You give it a name called the wave. Wave is only the name. There is nothing. If you take out water, what is the entity called? Nothing. Okay, now you have the whole ocean. So now you have solved the equation on one part, which is what? Wave is equal to water, and that ocean still remains, which is all intelligence. Now what do you need to do? You have to say even the ocean, which is all the different waves, is no, which exactly. It comprising of waves also cannot exist without water. Water is the most fundamental reality. It is the building. It's the most fundamental. Yes, exactly. The awareness is the most fundamental building block of the whole universe. Nothing can exist, even this all intelligence, right? So that means the truth of Ishvara, which is what? Awareness, is also the truth of an individual. The wave can say, once the wave is enlightened, wave can say, I and the ocean are one. Apparently they look very different. Where is the point of resolution in this equation? Water. Water is the point of resolution. When the wave understands that, does the wave expand and become the ocean? No. The wave remains wave, like the 3 plus 2 will remain 3 plus 2 and 6 minus 1 will remain 6. They will look different. But even there is an apparent difference which is not going to go away. Don't try to resolve that difference. There is an essential unity. That is what Vedanta is pointing out.
This is something a very simplistic sentence.
Yes.
But it's not that simplistic. If I'm not aware,
Yes.
then I'm not aware of the intelligence.
Which is, yeah, in a simplistic, yes, but it's true. That relationship is true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a bit. Please don't. Yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah, don't. Correct. No, I got what you're saying. I got what you. Yeah, correct. Excellent. Because that relationship you can see with reference to your own wonderful Mitali. Perfect.
So then, if you said Ishvara is the infinite intelligence.
Yes.
Awareness is the embracing of that infinite.
So that means what it is that your truth is awareness. Ishvara's truth is also awareness, right? Please don't make yourself bigger than Ishvara. This is another problem. A lot of people come to Vedanta and they treat Ishvara as what? Some inferior entity. And they say, why should I pray now? I'm bigger than Ishvara. You are not bigger than Ishvara. Ishvara what? Also has the same reality as you. It's not only your awareness, and Ishvara is only intelligence. The truth of that intelligence is also what? Awareness. And in fact, Ishvara knows this reality and you don't know this reality. So the whole teaching comes from whom? That all-knowing intelligence. So the whole teaching is from Ishvara, and you need Ishvara's grace to understand this. So all along you need this Ishvara. It's a huge thing to understand. Right? You don't become superior to Ishvara. Otherwise, what you're doing is, if you want become, then you half solve the equation. With reference to wave, you're saying that I'm the water, and then you say, oh, the entire ocean depends upon me. But ocean also has the truth, which is the water. The whole thing becomes erroneous. Huge error. Exactly. We are equating water to awareness. Just as your truth is awareness, Ishvara's truth is also awareness. Don't say that my truth is awareness and Ishvara is just this intelligence and I'm bigger than Ishvara. It is like a wave saying, I'm water and ocean is only ocean, so I'm bigger than the ocean. That's a wrong. That's not at all what it is being said. The truth of ocean also is water. I and Ishvara enjoy the same truth. Do you get that? Yeah, because that's a very important. A lot of Vedanta I know is taught where Ishvara is made as though some kind of a secondary entity. And until you know this knowledge, you need Ishvara. After that, it is all just, you don't need. This is not at all what Vedanta is talking about.
Sorry, I think I'm a little lost. Awareness is water.
Yes.
Ocean is Ishvara.
Yes.
And I am the wave.
Yes.
So we both resolve in water.
Excellent.
And we both have that awareness.
Absolutely. One undivided awareness. Not just awareness that we think, which is our mind, but yeah, that awareness which is all pervasive.
So
Yes.
the awareness that I know is what makes me understand and see my mind and body and everything else.
So
that's my awareness.
No, but see, that's what, Priya, that's why you need to bring in the whole teaching which was taught before, because generally our awareness, when I say my awareness, it only is something which is connected to the mind. Okay, so that's why we did this whole big exercise of saying, when we mean awareness, we don't mean just this little awareness which is seeming to be what in your mind. The mind is something, your mind awareness means what? That you have different thoughts and all that. So that is an object. Right? So there is a much more fundamental awareness which makes you enabled to see all the different thoughts in your mind. And that is something which is not your personal awareness, like we saw many times with reference to the space, right? This is not some particular cup space, it is what one undivided space. So we are taking it away from that my awareness to the awareness, right?
So that awareness, and then there's the Ishvara is also awareness.
Exactly, essentially awareness. Now, what is the whole thing? Ishvara knows this reality, we don't know this reality. So therefore, where is the teaching coming from? From Ishvara. The teaching comes from Ishvara telling you, hey, essentially there is no difference between you and me.
When she said ocean is Ishvara,
Yes,
water is awareness.
yes,
I am the wave. When she says the I that she's talking about
is a little individual.
Is
a little individual.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's why she meant, and that's why, if you keep that awareness connected to that individual, then that's, then you only stay at the level of the wave. Exactly, right? So then that's why, Priya, that because that's our whole thing, right? That we keep our awareness only to this little individual, stuck there.
Because our whole world is calibrated to be finite.
Ex-
That understanding and incorporation of infinite is the vast step.
It's a very vast step, but it is the biggest beauty is it's already there. It's just lifting your ignorance. If you have to produce it, it's impossible. But it's already there and you just have to solve this equation. Puzzle is solved. Okay? So as long as the meaning of awareness you keep stuck to your mind, you will never be able to get it.
I've answered everything you said.
Yeah?
Everyone has contributed to that. Can you
Every-
like a QED?
Okay, now you guys do it because you guys have been amazingly brilliant.
From everyone else, then it becomes broken.
Okay, it becomes broken.
Start from the beginning to
Okay,
the end.
okay, wonderful. But I want to tell you, all of you have contributed. I'm so happy. I'm really, really happy because I want you to think and not just kind of, be just this passive, who's going on listening. And each one contributed one part to the whole solution of this equation. It was brilliant, very good. And you attempted and you're moving forward in your thoughts and you're trying to solve it. It's wonderful. And each one did that one step further. It was wonderful. Okay? So now, as Mitali is saying, okay, now I have to solve this equation Tat Tvam Asi. Asi. Asi is, so Tat means Ishvara, Tvam is you, and then Asi means it's in the present tense, you are. ASI. Asi is a verb. It's a verb. It is. It means is, are. It is a verb. It just means you are that.
I am like that.
Yeah. So it's like that. Être verb. If you know French, it's être verb.
And what is Tat and Tvam?
Tat is Ishvara and Tvam is you. Get it? Okay. You're ready?
Right.
Okay, you're ready to write. Okay. So Tat Tvam Asi. So now, as I told you, it's if it is an equation, as Saloni said, in order for it to be an equation, two sides necessarily have to look different. First condition. But even if they look different, there has to be a point of resolution. But if I resolve it at a wrong point, then I make a huge error. So I have to make sure that I resolve it at the right point. These are the conditions. Okay? So therefore, now let's see I, the individual, the way I understand myself. Who am I? That little individual with this, if I ask you to tell me who you are, you'll define, how tall you are, whether you're fair or not fair, whether you have long hair or no long hair, or your preferences in terms of food, your parents, what you've studied, what you do in life. So this is your definition of who you are. Okay? Now, if that is your real nature, and then what you are so small, right? You are so insignificant. There is no possibility of you being equated to Ishvara, which is what? The all intelligence, which makes not only your body what it is, but also makes every other body what it is, and also makes what? The sun and the moon and the stars and the galaxies and everything it makes. Not only it makes all these wonderful objects, but it also governs the interaction of these objects through series of laws. So that intelligence means it's a vast thing, it's not a small thing. Now, how will you equate this little individual to that all intelligence? The two sides look very different.
how will we
Where is, how
the point of
resolution?
So would it be right to say A, which is Ishvara, equals to B, which is me,
Yes.
minus 1, which would be my emotions, the waves that arise in me, and my awareness of those waves that arise in me would make me more intelligent if I analyze those waves, then I would be fulfilled.
No, see, in order to, I think what you're trying to, it is nice, you're adding an element of emotion, and you're trying to also add an element of some kind of an effort to, some to correct certain things which are there. It is true. I think what is important, what you are saying, your emotional maturity, your cognitive shift, all these are very important for you to solve this equation. But in that equation, so
Awareness in me has to solve
so the mind is where the confusion is. Where is the equation? Where does the equation have to be solved? Does awareness need to solve the equation? No. Where is the equation? In the mind. Mind is the place where there is confusion. Mind is the place which has to solve the equation. Okay. Now what Shanta Aunty is saying is, in order for that mind to solve the equation, it has to be a prepared mind. It cannot be a mind which is all unprepared mind. Imagine you are, there is a best physicist who is explaining to you E is equal to mc square. Will you get it right now?
the background of physics.
Exactly. You need to prepare yourself for many years of physics before you can understand that equation. Okay, so therefore, even to solve this equation, which is the most fundamental equation of life, Tattvamasi, you need to work on what? Your emotional being, your intellect, all that is very important. That's true. That is a required condition without which this equation will not be solved. That's good. Okay, but essentially what the equation is talking about is just
Universal truth which exists in both.
exactly.
As the point of commonality.
Excellent, excellent. Right? Essentially it is talking about that. Wonderful, Saloni. Okay, so essentially it's talking about that this individual with all its emotions, all its limited intelligence about everything, okay, essentially it is what you think, I'm only this much, but these are what your emotions are known to you, right? So that means which category they fall into? Object category. You see the objects, you see one object coming and going, you see one emotion coming and going. What is the mistake we make?
We make our sense our emotions.
Exactly, right? So we are not saying there are no emotions. There are emotions, right? The nature of mistake that we make is that there is something which I am observing, I take it to be myself. Exactly. That is a problem. That you need to fix those emotions is true, because unless you fix it, you will not be able to. That's a
You have to be aware that what
But I'm talking about a fact which is already there, right? In order for you, that aware is a very different level. You need to first understand where this emotion is coming from, then you need to correct it, then you need to, that's a different, it's still, all this is happening where? In the mind. All that is wonderful. You need it, but when I'm talking about awareness, am I talking about that? I'm not talking about that.
Once again, the veil of finiteness is
Exactly.
unless you surpass that.
There is no way. You can't understand this equation. Because your awareness constantly remains confined to this individual. Then you try to solve it, there is no solution. It has to surpass it, because it has to surpass it.
isn't that how you surpass it?
Yes, the way to surpass, yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You have to surpass it by sorting your emotions, engaging in really trying to understand. That's so true. That is a required condition. It's a very much required condition. But ultimately what we are saying is, that's true, it's a required condition, but ultimately that anybody who wants to really solve this equation has to understand that what Vedanta means by Tvam is not this little individual. What Vedanta means by Tvam is what? The universal awareness, which is nothing confined to you. Right? So that is that one awareness, one light, because of which you see all the different objects. Whether the objects are external to you or the objects which are internal to you. And what is interesting is, with reference to me, you are external, and with reference to you, I am external. So there is no real internal or external, it's a relative position. It's a relative, right? So any object that you see, which is internal or external, is you can see because of this presence. That presence is that of awareness. And in that awareness there are no divisions. The objects are divided. You are there, I am here. The objects are divided. But in awareness there is no division at all.
So we have to be aware of what is going on and then rise to a higher level.
Yeah, so what the whole
then
teaching...
you're making a differential. It's not becoming integrated.
Yeah, so you don't have integrated when you are
Already
So that means, see, the wave, does it have to become integrated with water? It is water. It is just removing that ignorance. There is no like, oh, I have to connect myself to water. Wave is water. But that connection to that form keeps it what? One little entity. Because that connection is so strong, and it seems so real, right, that it keeps it finite. And you have to get out of this mindset in order for Vedanta to work for you.
So we are calling the objects as awareness.
No.
We are aware of the objects because of the awareness.
Exactly. So what is the problem
But the
is...
relationship between the objects and the awareness, if you can explain that. I'm confused about that.
Okay, so that this body is what? An object, right? It undergoes many different different conditions. Even your mind is what? Whether you are little, when you are born, what is the level of intelligence that you show? You only know how to cry. That's, and a little bit, how to engage in the world a little bit. And then over a period of time, imagine you go to school, you go to college, you go to, I don't know, you develop your intelligence or not. So much we develop our intelligence, right? So that means there is a complete, it's a shift that is taking. There is no one kind of a constant thing at all. Okay, so that means that there is this body which is constantly going change. The mind and its capacities are also constantly undergoing change. Okay, now we live our life thinking this is who I am. What does Vedanta says? These changing conditions, in order for you to know, there has to be a presence of what? Awareness, because of which you come to know coming and going and changing conditions of the body and mind. So then what you have understood is, I am that awareness which is independent of the body and mind. It's independent. Okay. Now, if it is independent of body and mind, the next question is, how many awarenesses are there? You may think that her awareness is independent of her body and mind. My awareness is what? Independent of my body and mind. Your awareness is independent of your body and mind. And you may still conclude there are what? Many awarenesses. Right? You can conclude that. This is where Vedanta says that if you have negated that you are not the body and mind, then if I were to say that my awareness is different from Preeti's awareness, I have to show some characteristic to my awareness which is different from what? Preeti's awareness. But all the characteristics are at what level? At the level of body and mind. So that means that's why there are many bodies and that's why there are many minds, because the characteristics are different. But if you take out that as an attribute of awareness, to that awareness you can't give any attribute to establish that her awareness is different from my awareness. We did this earlier, right? Because otherwise I have to show in a simplistic manner that Preeti's awareness is blue awareness and mine is pink. Then I can say, yeah, there are two. But you have no characteristics, no attributes left anymore. Okay? Exactly. This is like, so therefore you say that it seems like, as Mitali is saying, it seems like my awareness is confined to my body and mind, and her awareness is like this other cup confined to her body and mind. But in reality, there is what? Only, like there is only one space. So that means now when we talk about this awareness, Chit, in Sanskrit, Chit, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Chit. Okay, we are not talking about the self-aware, the mind which is aware of this now and aware of that now. We are talking about that one, exactly, one undivided awareness in which all the different bodies and minds are. That is the awareness we are talking about, right? So that's why Vedanta has brought us from that little I to this. Now, you still have to figure out what is this all intelligence. You have other side of equation. We have only solved what? The first side. We've come to 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. That's what we have come to.
The Tvam exists.
The Tvam, exactly. Tvam, we started with this little individual and we came to where? The awareness which is universal. That's what we have done so far. Now we have to go to other part of equation. There are a lot of Vedantins who only deal with this part, they forget the other part. Vedanta is not complete. You have practices and you have books and books and books written, all new age, only talking about this side of equation. So many books on your awareness and the presence which is there. There are all number of books on that. New Age, California. Okay, but they totally ignore the other side. That's why it's not complete. You float, you start floating. Oh, I'm awareness, I'm all pervasive, and oh, nothing is there for me to do. Anything that I want will come to me. People start living in a delusion. Okay, so therefore, the second side of equation is extremely important. You did not create the world. Who created? There is this all intelligence. Tat side of the equation. You can't ignore that. It is all pervasive intelligence. If you ignore it, how can you say that you know the reality? You can't. It's like wave starts thinking, I'm the water, and then what? Floating, oh, I'm water, I'm water. It has a relationship with the ocean. You can't ignore the ocean. It is there. If you are interested in reality, can you ignore the ocean? No. Because it's there. Okay. So on the other side of the equation, you see what? All intelligence. The intelligence which made time, intelligence which made space, intelligence which made every objects within time and space, and governing their interactions through series of laws. That's the other side of the equation. That is what Tat. Okay. Now you still have to find a point of resolution, right? So therefore, on this side you have come from where? The individual to awareness. That side you have only talked about all intelligence, but at that point there is no real resolution. So what is happening? Here on this side you have come to 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. That side you have kept as 6 minus 1. What do you need to do to solve the equation? That 6 minus 1 also has to be made to 5. Then there is an equation. So that all intelligence, you again have to say, in order for that intelligence to be, it first requires awareness. So even that all intelligence essentially depends upon that awareness
of us.
It's not at that level. There is no you and me. It is only one. The same awareness, which is all pervading awareness.
Could you repeat that? In order for the intelligence
to exist, you need what? Awareness. So that means the truth of that all intelligence, Ishvara, is also awareness, Brahman. So the individual, when you solve the left side of equation, you come to awareness, Brahman. When you solve the right side of the equation, which is Ishvara, you also come to Brahman. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman. Sorry? See, there is no plus and minus, there is only one thing. When I say the table and wood, will it become two things?
No.
Does it become two? There is a Satya Mithya relationship. There are no two things here. It's only one. Does the ocean plus water? Ocean is water.
When you had earlier class, you talked to us about the parts of the body.
Yes.
How it release.
Okay, that's yeah.
I was trying to resolve that.
Okay, that also. Okay, that's wonderful, Nandini. That's a very okay. Now what?
Satyam Brahman, Satyam Jnanam, Anantam Brahman.
You said in order for this intelligence to be, it requires awareness, the same all-pervading awareness.
Same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, I just think I understand it, but I don't know how to express it. It requires in what way? Because if you're not aware, you don't.
So it requires means.
Yeah.
I think okay. Now that your question will bring me to answer Nandini's question. So when I say requires, it means there is a Satya Mithya relationship. Okay, one is a dependent reality, the other one is independent reality. in order for intelligence to exist, you need what? The awareness. But awareness does not depend upon intelligence for its existence. This is what we call Satya-Mithya relationship. One needs the other one is independent of that. Okay? Like the table cannot exist without wood, but wood is independent of being the table.
Earlier on we were talking that since both are all pervading, they cannot be distinct.
So that's why it's a Satya-Mithya relationship. Jivatvam, the Ishwaratvam, the all intelligence also is mithya. It depends upon this awareness. Cannot exist without
So
it.
awareness is Satya and
Only one thing
understanding
is
of that,
Satyam.
all
Brahma
intelligence is-
Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman is Satyam. The only one Satyam is Brahman. Where what is that Brahman? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Okay. Now Nandini has even very intelligent question, because that part I was ignoring, but she didn't let me ignore that part. You guys are very smart. Now she is asking this question. You guys are really smart. She is asking this question. Up to now, you have resolved what? Everything, the Jiva into awareness, and also what? Ishvara into awareness. Now she says that this whole object, what is its relationship to awareness?
This one object.
The object category. So
object
what I have said
independent-
is, see, what I said is that the body is an object, then the mind is an object, right? So then, and your awareness. So now she is asking me, what is the relationship between, right, this awareness and the body and the mind and everything?
So the object is
Because we had discussed it.
Wonderful. No, it's wonderful. It's very good. I'm so glad you're asking, because it's very important to understand that. Okay, so this is where now what I have done is to just bring you to awareness. And what did I do? I didn't want to overcomplicate it, so I didn't go into that. But so I made what body and mind and everything as object. Okay, now earlier what I did is, what did I do? That this very body itself, are there two objects, one called body and the other one awareness? No. This is where I had shown there is a Satya Mithya relationship. Wonderful. Okay, so I had said first my step is I'm showing you your awareness, this is an object. Now this object itself, and when I did that whole technique, and I said this body I think is an object. Let's look into the reality of the body. What is body? Body is just that name for many different parts put together. Right? So, it's like a vehicle, but the nature of vehicle itself is an interesting nature. Okay? So, itself, when I say it, now we are talking in terms of realities. Okay? Now, the body itself is one body, you say, is nothing what that hands, legs, your back, your stomach, your head, hair, everything put together is what we call the body. Okay? Now, each part, if I take out, what will remain as body? Nothing. So therefore, this whole body, which initially I called an object, and what did you say? Your awareness, which is distinct from this object. Now that object category itself is what? Breaking down. Multiple objects. Namni, namani. One name called body, how many different objects? It's just a name of what? Assemblage of many different objects. Then I said, okay, now body is only the name, these parts are the most important parts. Then each part has more parts. Then I said, okay, now let's look into the hand. Hand itself is what? Fingers, water, blood, muscles, bones. That means that hand also is reduced to name. Itself is what? Assemblage of many other different parts. Then you take one more part. Water. What is it?
H2O.
H2O. Again, assemblage of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Then that atom itself is what? Particle. Then particle at that quantum physics level, it all just resolves in what? Concept. There is no longer any tangible object. Okay, so now think about Ishvara now. What is Ishvara? That intelligence which is puts together. It puts together all these what different parts. Then what every part is what assemblage of many different parts, and it makes what? One body. Then it makes another body. Then it makes the third body. Then it makes sun, moon. Then your body needs air, it makes air. Your body needs water, it makes water. So it becomes, so what we thought is the whole object category, it is now resolving in what? Ishvara, the all intelligence. And that entity Ishvara itself is resolving in what? Awareness. Wonderful.
But which one is superiors have to understand between intelligence and universe? Why one?
No,
Because there is a Satya Mithya relationship, right? So that means the ocean.
Both are dependent, not one dependent on the other.
No, both cannot be dependent on each other. Otherwise, it will be a mutual. So you can't say that water depends upon ocean and ocean also depends upon water. It's not true. There is no entity called water can be without ocean, right? That's why you have it in the tap. It doesn't always require ocean. But the ocean, if you take out water, what is the entity? Nothing. That's why it's a dependent reality.
Because you ask where did this Ishvara come from, then it's obviously there's a birth point.
Absolutely.
So what, it cannot collapse. It collapses into, like you always said, into awareness.
Yes.
Gave rise.
Excellent. So that awareness, wonderful Shona, wonderful. Okay, this awareness is the ultimate reality. With reference to its capacity to manifest the universe, you call it what? Ishvara. Yeah. Oh my God, now I don't know. Okay. So this, all that is here is awareness, right? Now it has the capacity to manifest the universe, and manifest universe not just randomly but intelligently. So that means that when with reference to that capacity to manifest the universe, you give it a name called Ishvara.
Capacity of awareness to manifest.
Yes, exactly. That capacity, very technically, Mitali, it's called Maya. Very technically, it will come somewhere. I will explain to you. Okay, but it's true. And when with that capacity is, and when the actual manifestation comes, then that intelligence is what? The cause of the creation, Ishvara. All those little differences I will explain to you when the topic of Ishvara comes, not now.
So capacity to manifest the universe
Is part of Ishvara, yeah. It's when you call Ishvara
awareness is
the ultimate reality.
So when the actual manifestation happens, then
So all this Ishvara, now we are going way too far because we have not even seen Ishvara.
Now we're getting confused again.
No,
We leave it at
because
this.
We leave it at
we leave it at this now. but I think I'm so happy because you are asking extremely pertinent, extremely relevant questions. Everybody is like, I'm amazed. In no class, people are so much in sync.
I think the best definition of Ishvara, what you said, was a constant presence.
Yeah.
So that I keep repeating to myself.
Yes.
That, that brings it down to its distilled truth.
Yeah, because the whole object category actually resolves in Ishvara only. That intelligence which makes every manifestation possible. So Nandini, your question is very nice, because this object which I left hanging, now it goes into Ishvara.
So it's like an object, right? The object by itself is an object, but the content of the essential content of the object is awareness.
Excellent. And before, there is a little intervening thing in between, which is what? The intelligence which makes that every object appear and sustain and then go back. So that there is this intermediate in different forms.
Just going one step further to what Krishna said, that the essential content of the object is equal to awareness.
Yeah.
Then the essential content of intelligence is also equal to awareness.
Excellent.
QED, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And every object initially resolves in Ishvara, the intelligence. That intelligence itself then resolves into awareness.
So I'm looking to how to express that point of view.
But she just did.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
the point of it.
Yeah, that's the point of it.
So I think it can be very powerful when you suddenly think, like, you have conflict with somebody and you suddenly begin to think that I'm the same as this person.
Yeah?
This person is the same as me and I'm the same. So now you have to pray to the grace of the universal awareness to be able to
Then you pray to the
gap.
intelligence, because the intelligence is the one who's bringing about the forms and making what exactly.
That's where also the point
You
of
pray,
meditation.
but you don't just only pray, you are given free will. That whole section of karmani eva adhikaraste that we saw, you also do your part. But there are so many unknown variables for which you pray, but you also do your own part.
And act within the law.
Act within the
framework.
laws. Exactly. Okay guys, when I came to this class, I had no idea that I will go to such a intricate thing. I just wanted to give you a simple idea to say that how essentially Avatara is not what just some entity and you are this little person who's constantly, I wanted to show that the whole vision of Gita is ultimately what?
But we all have done.
That in some way that all that is here is one, and the whole teaching of Gita is that not to keep that difference, which is an apparent difference, going, but to resolve that apparent difference. That's why this teaching is incredible. It goes to another level altogether. Okay, so now in the next verse, I'm not going to do it, don't worry. It talks about this person. Now imagine, now you will understand this verse. Talks about this person who has solved the equation. Not Avatar. Any human being can solve this equation, right? You don't need Avatar. Any wise person is the one who has solved this equation.
That's what you said, the inherent superiority.
But in this verse only, isn't Krishna saying?
Yeah,
that
in the
I'm
previous verse,
of
this
intelligence
knowledge.
that already exists.
Absolutely. And also this whole teaching which enables you to resolve this equation. The whole teaching tradition enables you to resolve this equation. Now, the next verse is talking about what about this person who has resolved this equation has really understood, not just some superficially saying something or the other, but really resolved this equation and all the implications one has understood. And also, as Auntie very rightly said, what in order to really resolve this equation, you need to work on yourself, your emotional being, your capacity to make decision, lucidity in that. You're taking care. Those are very important part of what preparing to solve that equation. So that means it's not just some kind of an intellectual kind of a thing. It is really solving it at all levels and living it. How does this human being who solved the equation, right? What is the vision of that person? So that is explained in the next verse. Because essentially what Lord Krishna wanted to show is, don't get over impressed by avatara. Any wise person is what? Equal to me.
Which verse is that?
That is this karmani akarma yav pashet asabuddhiman manusheshu. So that I will explain. Now that you have, hopefully you will retain what we have discussed, then you will be able to understand this verse. If you remember what we talked about in this class, you will understand what the next verse is talking about. Okay? Gita is complex. It's not so easy. You need to know a lot to understand the verses of Gita. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.